Welcome to Tuesday's edition of CNN Student News. This is our last show before the Thanksgiving holiday. First up, U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is resigning.
It's been the greatest privilege of my life, to lead, and most important, to serve with the men and women of the Defense Department and support their families.
And President Obama said the lives of U.S. servicemen and women have always been at the center of Hagel's service. The president also called Hagel exemplary and says his decision to resign didn't come easily. But several sources told CNN that the president forced Hagel out. A senator who recently spoke to Hagel said he was frustrated with the Obama administration, one reason being a lack of strategy for dealing with the ISIS terrorist group. The White House said disagreement over Syria had nothing to do with Hagel's resignation. The defense secretary is a cabinet position. It oversees the U.S. military. Hagel will stay on until the next defense secretary is confirmed. That has to be done with the advice and consent of the Senate.
The verdict from a grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri. 28-year-old police officer Darren Wilson will not be charged in the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown. The grand jury's decision came about 3.5 months after Officer Wilson shot Brown, who was unarmed. There was a confrontation between them on August 9th. Some witnesses and those who supported Brown said he was trying to surrender when Officer Wilson shot him. Police and those who supported Wilson said Brown assaulted the officer and that Wilson fired in self-defense. The county prosecutor said that after a full and impartial examination of all of the evidence, which only the grand jury saw, it found no probable cause to charge Officer Wilson with wrongdoing. The verdict was not what many demonstrators wanted to hear. In the hours that followed, the protests turned violent. Stores were vandalized. Police cars were damaged or set on fire. Police were using tear gas and smoke bombs. Teachers, you can find the latest events from Ferguson at CNN.com.
Let's start out west today in the Beehive state of Utah. We've got a request from Central Davis Junior High School. It's in the city of Layton, and it's where the Cubs are watching CNN Student News. To LaGrange, Texas, for the Leopards. They're online at LaGrange High School. Good to see you. And in Cronenwetter, Wisconsin, we've got the Wildcats of Northland Lutheran High School. Please keep your requests coming at cnnstudentnews.com. Next story, earthquakes. We told you yesterday about the strong one that shook part of Japan last weekend. In the northwest corner of Nevada, there have been more than 50 tremors over the past week, thousands in recent months. Now, they're relatively small and they're in a relatively remote part of the state, but seismologists are concerned over these earthquake swarms.
I'm in Hayward, California, just east of San Francisco, and danger lurks right beneath my feet. There is a major fault right beneath this parking lot, and it's due to go. It could happen in the next 10 years. It could happen next year. It could happen right now. You never know when earthquakes are going to occur. And that's part of the reason why many are alarmed over earthquake swarms. An earthquake swarm is a concentration of earthquakes in a short period of time. One area that has experienced this phenomenon is in the remote desert that links Oregon, Nevada, and California. There have also been swarms in other parts of the country that you wouldn't normally associate with earthquakes, places like Kansas and Oklahoma. Some have suggested that fracking is to blame. That's a method to extract oil and natural gas from the ground, but there is no universal agreement on that. They have certainly rattled some nerves, and they have prompted the question whether or not a bigger quake might be coming.
Anytime you're in an area and you begin to have earthquakes, the thought is, am I going to have something bigger? And the reality is, we don't know.
The bottom line is earthquake swarms are getting a ton of attention. Most of these quakes, of course, are harmless, but if you live in an area that is prone to them, it's a good reminder to have an earthquake plan ready and some emergency supplies on hand.
Another deadline has come and gone, no deal yet. We're talking about negotiations between the Middle Eastern nation of Iran and the U.S. and some other world powers. Here's the issue. Iran has a nuclear program. The nation says it's strictly for peaceful purposes, like nuclear power. The U.S. and other Western nations believe Iran is trying to build a nuclear weapon. Direct negotiations over this issue have been going on for more than a year. They involve Iran on one side, and on the other, the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, plus Germany. Western nations have put economic sanctions, economic penalties on Iran over its nuclear program. Iran wants those lifted. Western countries want Iran's nuclear capability limited. A big sticking point? Who makes the first move? The deadline for a deal was supposed to be tonight. It's been extended to next March. Keep different passwords for different sites. Don't link your social media and email accounts. Back up your important files offline. All of these are things that experts recommend to stay safer online, to keep personal info personal. And if you ever log on to an unsecured Wi-Fi network, you could be letting a hacker know everything he or she needs to steal from you.
A breezy fall day in Central Park, and like many others, my colleague Jose Palieri is taking a break. He finds a convenient place to stop and browse the internet. But he's about to fall into a cyber trap. Caleb Huff is an expert in online intrusions with all the skills of your typical hacker. He has created an unsecured public Wi-Fi network. Jose is our next victim. Right on cue?
Central Park Wi-Fi is one of the only ones that's not locked down.
That's his first mistake, and it's a big one. Do not connect to open Wi-Fi networks. Jose checks his email.
So what we're seeing right here is someone is logging into yahoo.com.
Then he decides to go shopping.
Winter is coming, gotta get myself a new coat.
Something just popped up?
Right, so it looks like somebody is logging into their Amazon account. Their email address is displayed right here. Password is displayed right here.
Like so many of us, Jose is using the same password for email and Amazon. Another mistake. Now we have all this information. Let's see how far a hacker might take it using just my everyday cell phone. Cyber Joey CNN. So I've gotten into our victim's Amazon account. I have the American Express card already in there. He saved it. There we go. I just made a purchase on his Amazon account. Jose will have no idea he's been hacked until he sees his bill. Caleb now has access to his email account, his Amazon account, and his credit card. For everyone involved, a walk in the park.
Founding father Ben Franklin wasn't a fan of our national symbol. In a letter to his daughter, he called the bald eagle a bird of bad moral character. What would he have preferred? Well, Ben Franklin liked the turkey. He called it more respectable and courageous despite being a little silly. Now that's random. But it dovetails nicely into our 5 facts about Thanksgiving report. 1. It's America's second favorite holiday. Christmas is first. Turkeys are often on the menu for both, so bad news for them. 2. They probably weren't on the table at the first Thanksgiving. That more likely included geese, ducks, and deer. History ties into our third point. The first Thanksgiving was probably in 1621 when English colonists and Native Americans shared a harvest feast. 4. Thanksgiving wasn't an official holiday in the U.S. until the Civil War. On October 3, 1863, President Lincoln declared the national holiday. That was on a Thursday, and it stuck. 5. Thanksgiving traditionally kicks off the Christmas shopping season. President Franklin Roosevelt tried to move it to the third Thursday in November to extend that shopping season and stimulate the economy. Some states didn't like that, so in 1942, Thanksgiving was moved to its permanent home on the fourth Thursday in November. Now that we've set the table, it's time to dig in. This is how the pros do it. I don't mean your Uncle Ralphie. I mean competitive eaters like Joey Chestnut. At last weekend's turkey eating contest, Chestnut stuffed his face with more than 9 pounds of turkey meat in less than 10 minutes. It was an entire bird minus the bones. It was a record. It won Chestnut $5,000 and probably a really good nap. He must have been a tryptophan fanatic to bear the burden. Just staying awake would be turkey to victurkey. And as far as a winning straturkey, well, you just kind of wing it. We're giving thanks for you this Thanksgiving. And while that gobbles up all our time, there's just none left over. Don't get your feathers ruffled. CNN Student News trots back December 1st with more stories and puns all cooked up. I'm Carl Azus.